Today we talking about basic virology. Virology is the study of viruses. It focuses on the following aspects of viruses: their structure, classification, and evolution, their ways to infect and exploit host cells for reproduction, their interaction with host organism physiology and immunity, the diseases they cause, the techniques to isolate and culture them, and their use in research and therapy. Virology is a subfield of microbiology. Virus classification. A major branch of virology is virus classification. Viruses can be classified according to the host cell they infect. Animal viruses, plant viruses, fungal viruses, and bacteriophages. Viruses infecting bacterium, which include the most complex viruses. Another classification uses the geometrical shape of their capsid, which often a helix or an icosahedron, or the virus's structure. For example, presence or absence of a lipid envelope. Viruses range in size from about 30 nanometers to about 450 nanometers, which means that most of them cannot be seen with light microscopes. The shape and structure of viruses has been studied by electron microscopy, NMR spectroscopy, and X-ray crystallography. The most useful and most widely used classification system distinguishes viruses according to the type of nucleic acid they use as genetic material, and the viral replication method they employ to coax host cells into producing more viruses. DNA viruses, divided into double-stranded DNA viruses and single-stranded DNA viruses. RNA viruses, divided into positive-sense single-stranded RNA viruses. Negative-sense single-stranded RNA viruses. And the much less common double-stranded RNA viruses. The latest report by the International Committee on Taxonomy of Viruses, 2005, lists 5,450 viruses, organized in over 2,000 species, 287 genera, 73 families, and 3 orders. Virologists also study subviral particles, infectious entities notably smaller and simpler than viruses. Viral diseases. One main motivation for the study of viruses is the fact that they cause many important infectious diseases. Among them the common cold, influenza, rabies, measles, many forms of diarrhea, hepatitis, polio, smallpox, and AIDS. Herpes simplex causes cold sores and genital herpes, and is under investigation as a possible factor in Alzheimer's. Some viruses, known as oncoviruses, contribute to the development of certain forms of cancer. The best studied example is the association between human papillomavirus and cervical cancer. Almost all cases of cervical cancer are caused by certain strains of this sexually transmitted virus. Another example is the association of infection with hepatitis B and hepatitis C viruses and liver cancer. The study of the manner in which viruses cause disease is viral pathogenesis. The degree to which a virus causes disease is its virulence. When the immune system of a vertebrate encounters a virus, it may produce specific antibodies, which bind to the virus and neutralize its infectivity, or mark it for destruction. Antibody presence in blood serum is often used to determine whether a person has been exposed to a given virus in the past. Monoclonal antibodies, specific to the virus, are also used for detection, as in fluorescence microscopy. The second defense of vertebrates against viruses. Cell-mediated immunity involves immune cells known as T cells. The body's cells constantly display short fragments of their proteins on the cell's surface. And if a T cell recognizes a suspicious viral fragment there, the host cell is destroyed, and the virus-specific T cells proliferate. This mechanism is jump-started by certain vaccinations. RNA interference, an important cellular mechanism found in plants, animals, and many other eukaryotes. Most likely evolved as a defense against viruses. A very early form of vaccination, known as variolation, was developed several thousand years ago in China. It involved the application of materials from smallpox sufferers in order to immunize others. In 1717, Lady Mary Wortley Montagu observed the practice and attempted to popularize it in Britain, but encountered considerable resistance. In 1796, Edward Jenner developed a much safer method, using cowpox to successfully immunize a young boy against smallpox. And this practice was widely adopted. Vaccinations against other viral diseases followed, including the successful rabies vaccination by Louis Pasteur in 1886. The nature of viruses, however, was not clear to these researchers. In 1892, the Russian biologist Dmitry Ivanovsky used a Chamberland filter to try to isolate the bacteria that caused tobacco mosaic disease. His experiments showed that crushed leaf extracts from infected tobacco plants remained infectious after filtration. Ivanovsky reported a minuscule infectious agent or toxin capable of passing the filter may be being produced by a bacterium. In 1898, Martinus Bijerink repeated Ivanovsky's work, but went further and passed the filterable agent from plant to plant, found the action undiminished, and concluded it infectious, replicating in the host, and thus not a mere toxin. He called it contagium vivum fluidum. The question of whether the agent was a living fluid or a particle was, however, still open. In 1903 it was suggested for the first time that transduction by viruses might cause cancer. The cause of the devastating Spanish flu pandemic of 1918 was initially unclear. In late 1918, French scientists showed that a filter-passing virus could transmit the disease to people and animals. In 1926 it was shown that scarlet fever is caused by a bacterium that is infected by a certain bacteriophage. In 1931 it was shown that influenza virus could be grown in fertilized chicken eggs, a method that is still used today to produce vaccines. In 1937, Max Theiler managed to grow the yellow fever virus in chicken eggs and produced a vaccine from an attenuated virus strain. This vaccine saved millions of lives and is still being used today. In 1963, the hepatitis B virus was discovered by Barack Bloomberg, who went on to develop a hepatitis B vaccine. This is the basic aspect of the history of virology and basic virology. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please thumb up and leave a message. You must be my biggest motivation to make the video. Please subscribe to the channel, where you'll find more and more medical videos here later. Thanks.